The change began slowly, then spread like fire through dry grass. Young Zephyrians who had been working with humans started questioning everything they had been taught about their society. Kilren, Alex Johnson's former caretaker, became one of the first aliens to openly challenge traditional authority. During a council meeting in his city, he stood up and said something that shocked everyone present. "Why do we follow the old ways when new ways work better?" Kilren asked. "The human Alex has shown me methods of organization that are superior to our traditions. Should we not learn from superior methods regardless of their source?" The older council members were horrified. No young Zephyrian had ever questioned traditional methods in public before. But other young aliens in the room began nodding their heads in agreement. Similar scenes were happening across the Zephyrian Empire. In research facilities, young scientists were using human problem-solving methods and achieving breakthrough discoveries. In engineering centers, alien technicians were applying human creativity to develop new technologies that their ancestors had never imagined. Ben Parker was at the center of the technological revolution. Working with a team of progressive Zephyrian engineers, he helped them understand that innovation required risk-taking and experimentation, concepts that had been removed from alien culture centuries ago. "Your technology is amazing," Ben told his alien colleagues, "but it could be so much more. You focused on perfecting what you have instead of imagining what you could create." Together, Ben and the alien engineers developed new energy systems that were 50% more efficient than traditional designs. They created communication devices that could reach across star systems instantly. Most importantly, they built manufacturing systems that could adapt and change instead of simply repeating the same processes forever. Emma Stone was revolutionizing how information flowed through Zephyrian society. Her new communication networks allowed aliens from different planets to share ideas and coordinate projects in ways that had never been possible before. Through these networks, Emma contacted other captive species across the Empire. The Altarians, who had been pets for 3 centuries, were eager to join the human revolution. The Keplerians shared their advanced biological knowledge. The Vegan refugees contributed their understanding of galactic politics and trade. "We're not just freeing humans," Emma told Jake during one of their conversations. "We're creating the first truly cooperative interstellar civilization in galactic history." Lisa Carter was working with alien scientists to solve environmental problems that had plagued the Empire for generations. Her understanding of biological systems helped them restore damaged ecosystems on dozens of worlds. More importantly, she was teaching them to think about environmental protection in new ways. "You treat each planet like a separate system," Lisa explained to a group of Zephyrian environmental engineers. "But everything is connected. What happens on one world affects other worlds through trade, travel, and resource exchange. You need to think about the whole empire as one big ecosystem." This concept was revolutionary to the aliens. They had always managed each world separately, never considering how their actions affected the larger galactic environment. Lisa's holistic approach led to solutions for problems they hadn't even realized existed. Ryan Davis was having perhaps the most significant impact on Zephyrian society. His training programs were teaching aliens skills their culture had forgotten. Leadership, creative problem-solving, adaptability, and teamwork were becoming popular concepts among young Zephyrians. Ryan's students were spread throughout the Empire, and they began implementing human-inspired changes in their workplaces and communities. Rigid hierarchies started becoming more flexible. Traditional procedures began incorporating new ideas. Most importantly, young aliens started believing they could make positive changes instead of simply following ancient rules. Jake Morrison found himself at the center of a growing political movement. Progressive Zephyrian leaders sought his advice on everything from economic policy to interstellar relations. Jake's military experience helped him understand power structures and political strategy in ways that peaceful aliens could not. Change is happening whether the conservative factions want it or not, Jake told a secret meeting of progressive alien leaders. The question is whether that change will be gradual and peaceful or sudden and chaotic. Dr. Cathara had become the unofficial leader of the pro-human faction among the Zephyrians. He organized meetings where progressive aliens could share their experiences working with humans and learn from each other. The humans have given us something we lost long ago, Cathara told his followers. They have reminded us that intelligent beings can grow and change and improve. We do not have to be prisoners of our own traditions. But not all Zephyrians welcomed these changes. General Mordex and his conservative military faction saw the human influence as a dangerous infection that threatened everything they valued about their civilization. These creatures are destroying our way of life, Mordex declared at a secret meeting of conservative leaders. They fill our young people's minds with dangerous ideas about change and innovation. If we do not act soon, our civilization will be lost forever. Mordex began planning a military coup to remove progressive leaders from power and return all humans to strict captivity. He believed that by controlling the humans, he could stop the revolutionary changes spreading through Zephyrian society, but Emma's communication networks allowed the humans to monitor alien communications. She discovered Mordex's plans weeks before he intended to act. He's going to try to take control of the government and lock us all away, Emma warned the other humans. We need to be ready. The humans had been preparing for this possibility. Alex Johnson had studied Zephyrian military structure and identified its weaknesses. The alien military was built for defense against external threats, not for controlling their own population. Their tactics were rigid and predictable, designed for fighting other organized armies, not for dealing with creative resistance. Ryan Davis had trained both humans and progressive aliens in unconventional tactics. They had practiced coordinated responses to various scenarios. Most importantly, they had built relationships with key people throughout the Empire who could help when the time came. When Mordex launched his coup, he expected quick victory. His forces moved to arrest progressive leaders and secure all human facilities. But they found that their targets had vanished and their objectives had been changed. Jake Morrison had anticipated every move Mordex would make. Using his knowledge of military strategy combined with human creativity, Jake had turned the general's own rigid thinking against him. Instead of fighting Mordex's forces directly, the humans and their allies used the general's predictable tactics to guide his troops into carefully prepared traps. When Mordex's soldiers arrived at government buildings, they found empty offices and altered computer systems. When they went to secure human facilities, they discovered that the humans had already been moved to safe locations. Most cleverly, Emma had reprogrammed the military communication systems so that Mordex's own orders were redirected to create confusion among his forces. Units received contradictory commands, arrived at wrong locations, and found themselves working against each other instead of achieving their objectives. Within 24 hours, Mordex's coup had collapsed completely. His forces were scattered and confused. His allies had abandoned him when they realized that fighting the humans meant fighting against the future of their own civilization, but the humans didn't seek revenge against Mordex or his followers. Instead, Jake personally met with the defeated general to offer him a different vision of the future. You wanted to protect Zephyrian civilization, Jake told Mordex. We want the same thing, but protecting something doesn't mean keeping it exactly the same forever. Real protection means helping it grow stronger and better. Jake offered Mordex and his supporters roles in the new government that was forming, not as rulers, but as partners in building something better than either humans or Zephyrians could create alone. Some of Mordex's followers accepted this offer. They had seen that fighting against change was pointless when the change was clearly beneficial. Others remained opposed, but were no longer in positions to cause trouble. The revolution was complete, but it had been achieved without violence or destruction. Instead of conquering the Zephyrian Empire, the humans had transformed it into something new and better. Alex Johnson, still only 18 years old, had played a crucial role in this transformation. His understanding of political structures and social dynamics had helped the humans navigate the complex process of changing an entire civilization. "We didn't just win," Alex told the other humans as they celebrated their success. "We showed them a better way to live." That's something they'll never forget. The galaxy was about to witness the birth of something unprecedented, a truly cooperative interstellar government where different species worked together as equals, each contributing their unique strengths to benefit everyone. 3 months had passed since the humans arrived on the alien world. Jake Morrison had learned to smile and nod when his caretaker Veltar brought him new books or games. But behind his calm face, Jake was watching and learning everything he could about his captors. The Zephyrians followed the same routines every day. They woke up at the same time, ate the same foods, and did their jobs in exactly the same way their parents and grandparents had done. They never questioned orders from their superiors, and they avoided any kind of conflict or argument. Jake noticed that the aliens always used the same paths to walk through the facility. They always checked the same systems at the same times. They were predictable, and predictable enemies could be defeated. In another part of the facility, Ben Parker was pretending to be fascinated by the simple toys his caretaker brought him. But Ben was actually studying the alien technology. Every wall panel, every light, every door had circuits and wires behind it. Ben had been an engineer for 10 years, and he could figure out how things worked just by looking at them. When his caretaker wasn't watching, Ben used a small piece of metal from his belt to carefully remove a panel near his sleeping area. Behind, it was a maze of glowing tubes and crystal circuits. The technology was advanced, but it followed logical patterns that Ben could understand. "Interesting," Ben whispered to himself. "They use light instead of electricity, but the basic principles are the same." Ben carefully put the panel back before his caretaker returned. Over the next few weeks, he memorized every detail of the alien systems he could access. Slowly, he began to understand how their technology worked. Lisa Carter spent her days pretending to be interested in the alien plants and animals her caretaker showed her. But Lisa was really studying the Zephyrians themselves. As a biologist, she knew how to watch behavior patterns and social structures. The aliens had no hierarchy based on strength or aggression like many Earth animals. Instead, they had a rigid system based on age and tradition. Older aliens gave orders and younger ones obeyed without question. No one ever challenged this system or suggested new ways of doing things. They're like a species that stopped evolving, Lisa thought. They've become so peaceful and organized that they can't adapt to new situations. Lisa also noticed that the Zephyrians were fascinated by human emotions. When humans laughed, cried, or got angry, the aliens would gather around to watch like people watching a movie. They seemed to have forgotten how to feel strong emotions themselves. Alex Johnson was the youngest human in his section, but his caretaker treated him like all the others. The aliens didn't seem to understand that human. Children could be just as smart as adults, sometimes smarter. Alex spent his time asking innocent questions that made his caretaker think. "Why do you always walk the same way to my room?" he would ask. "Wouldn't it be faster to go the other way sometimes?" His caretaker would look confused and say that the traditional path was the proper path. Alex learned that the aliens feared change so much that they couldn't even consider taking a different route through their own building. Alex also discovered something important about the facility's layout. While pretending to play games, he mapped out every room and corridor he could see. The facility was much larger than the humans had first thought. There were hundreds of rooms, and the building went deep underground. After 2 months of careful observation, Ben made a breakthrough. He figured out how to access the maintenance systems that controlled air, water, and power throughout the facility. The aliens had never thought to secure these systems because they couldn't imagine anyone wanting to tamper with them. Ben discovered that there were tunnels running beneath the entire alien city. These tunnels carried power and water to every building. More importantly, they were big enough for humans to crawl through. Ben knew he needed to contact the other humans, but he had to be careful. The aliens watched them during the day, but at night they left the humans alone in their rooms. Ben began working on a way to send messages through the facility's systems. Using pieces of metal from his furniture, Ben built a simple device that could send signals through the power lines. It was primitive compared to alien technology, but it worked. Late one night, he sent out his first message. "This is Ben Parker in Section 7. Can anyone hear this?" The response came quickly. "This is Lisa Carter in Section 12. I hear you clearly." Soon more voices joined the conversation. Jake Morrison from Section 3, Alex Johnson from Section 15, a woman named Emma Stone who said she was a computer programmer, a man named Ryan Davis who said he had been a soldier. Over the next few weeks, the human network grew. They found out there were over 200 humans in their facility alone. The aliens had been collecting humans for months, taking them from all over Earth. Emma Stone proved to be especially valuable. As a computer programmer, she understood systems and codes better than anyone. She worked with Ben to improve their communication network and began trying to hack into the alien computers. "These aliens are incredibly advanced," Emma told the others during one of their secret conversations. "But their security is terrible. They've never had to deal with anyone trying to break into their systems." Ryan Davis had been a military sergeant before his capture. He began organizing the humans into small groups and teaching them basic tactics. Ryan knew they couldn't fight the aliens with strength, but they could outsmart them. "We need to think like guerrilla fighters," Ryan explained. "We're outnumbered and outgunned, but we have advantages they don't know about. We can think creatively, we can adapt quickly, and we can work together in ways they never expected." After 3 months of secret meetings and planning, Emma made a shocking discovery. She had managed to access the alien database and found records of other species the Zephyrians had collected over the centuries. "We're not the first," Emma told the others. "They've been doing this for thousands of years. There are dozens of different species being kept as pets across their empire. The records showed that most species eventually stopped being interesting to the Zephyrians. When that happened, they were either returned to primitive worlds or simply forgotten and left to live out their lives in captivity." But Emma found something else in the database that was even more disturbing. The Zephyrian civilization was in decline. They hadn't developed any new technology in over 500 years. Their birth rates were dropping, and their empire was slowly shrinking as other alien powers grew stronger. "They're collecting us because they need new ideas," Emma realized. "They just don't know how to ask for help. Their culture won't let them admit they need anything from species they consider inferior." Jake saw the opportunity immediately. "So they need us more than they know. We're not just pets to them. We're their only hope for survival. They just haven't figured it out yet." The humans began planning something bigger than escape. They were going to change the entire Zephyrian civilization, whether the aliens wanted it or not. Lisa studied the alien social structure more carefully and identified which Zephyrians might be open to new ideas. Ben and Emma worked together to understand the alien technology well enough to improve it. Alex mapped out the political structure of the alien government using information he gathered from his innocent questions. Ryan organized the humans into teams with specific missions. Some would gather intelligence, others would identify potential alien allies, and still others would prepare for the day when they would reveal themselves as equals rather than pets. The aliens still saw them as amusing creatures who could do clever tricks. They had no idea that their pets were planning to become their teachers, their partners, and eventually their leaders. The revolution had begun, and the Zephyrians didn't even know it. Jake Morrison stood on the deck of the aircraft carrier watching the sky. Something was wrong. The clouds moved in strange patterns and the air felt different. Then he saw it. A massive ship appeared above them like a floating city made of silver and glass. "Sir, we're getting readings unlike anything we've ever seen," his communications officer called out. The young man's voice shook as he spoke into his radio. Jake had been in the Navy for 15 years. He had seen storms that could sink ships and enemies that fired missiles. But this was different. This ship was bigger than 10 football fields, and it made no sound as it hung in the air above them. Around the world, more ships appeared. They came over New York, London, Tokyo, and every major city on Earth. The news channels went crazy trying to explain what was happening. People ran through the streets pointing at the sky. On the ship above Jake's carrier, something opened. A voice spoke in perfect English that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "People of Earth, we are the Zephyrians. We come in peace. We have traveled far to find you." Jake grabbed his radio. "All ships, this is Morrison. Stay calm and do not fire unless fired upon." The voice continued. "We have watched your kind for many cycles. You are remarkable creatures. We wish to take some of you to our home worlds, where you will be cared for and loved." In a small town in Oregon, Lisa Carter was feeding fish in her laboratory when the announcement came over the radio. She was a marine biologist who studied how fish lived in different waters. The strange words made her stop what she was doing. "Cared for and loved?" she said to herself. That doesn't sound right. Lisa had spent years studying animal behavior. She knew that when someone talked about caring for wild animals, they usually meant putting them in cages. She quickly called her friend Ben Parker, who worked as an engineer in the city. "Ben, are you hearing this?" she asked when he answered. His phone. "Yeah, I'm watching it on TV right now," Ben replied. "These alien ships are everywhere. They're saying they want to take people away." Ben was good at fixing things and building machines. He looked at problems differently than most people. While others saw the beautiful alien ships, he saw something else. He saw ships designed to carry cargo. In a high school in Texas, 17-year-old Alex Johnson sat in his math class watching the news on his teacher's computer. Alex was smart for his age. He read books about history and science that most adults found difficult. "Why would advanced aliens want to take care of humans?" he asked his teacher. "Maybe they're trying to help us," his teacher replied. Alex shook his head. "In every history book I've read, when a more advanced group says they want to take care of a less advanced group, it never ends well for the less advanced group." The alien voice spoke again. "We will begin collection soon. Those chosen should feel honored. You will live in beautiful places and want for nothing." Jake felt his stomach drop. Collection. They were talking about humans like they were butterflies or rare flowers. Within hours, the alien ships began to land. They were beautiful and peaceful looking. The aliens who came out were tall and graceful. Their skin looked like liquid silver, and they moved like dancers. They carried devices that looked like nets made of light. The aliens, who called themselves Zephyrians, walked through cities and towns. They pointed their devices at people, and gentle beams of light surrounded them. The people didn't fight or scream. They just stood still with blank looks on their faces and walked calmly into the alien ships. Jake watched in horror as the beam touched some of his crew members. They stopped what they were doing and walked toward the alien ship like they were in a dream. "All remaining crew, get below deck now," Jake shouted, but it was too late. The beam touched him, and everything went quiet. Lisa found herself in the same strange state. She had been running to her car when the light caught her. One moment she was scared and trying to escape. The next moment she felt calm and walked peacefully toward the waiting ship. Ben experienced the same thing while trying to hide in his workshop. The peaceful feeling was so strong that he stopped, caring about being captured. Alex was taken from his school, along with several other students. Even his sharp mind couldn't fight against the alien technology. When Jake woke up, he was in a room unlike anything he had ever seen. The walls were soft and curved like the inside of a shell. Gentle light came from everywhere and nowhere. The air smelled like flowers, and the temperature was perfect. He was wearing new clothes that felt softer than silk. There was a bed that looked more comfortable than any he had slept in. Strange but beautiful music played softly from hidden speakers. Jake stood up and walked to what looked like a window. Outside, he saw an incredible sight. He was on an alien world. The sky was purple, and there were 2 moons hanging low on the horizon. Strange trees with silver leaves grew in gardens that seemed to go on forever. Other humans were walking around in similar clothes. They all looked healthy and clean. Some were playing games or reading books written in languages Jake didn't recognize. Others were swimming in pools of clear blue water. "Beautiful, isn't it?" a voice said behind him. Jake turned to see one of the tall silver aliens standing in the doorway. The alien's face was kind, and its large eyes seemed to sparkle with genuine. "Kare. My name is Veltar," the alien said. "I am your caretaker. You may call me Vel if that is easier." "Caretaker?" Jake asked. "Yes, we will take care of all your needs. You will never be hungry or cold or sick. You will have entertainment and friendship with others of your kind. All we ask in return is that you be yourselves." Jake felt confused. "What do you mean, be ourselves?" "We find your species fascinating," Vel explained. "The way you solve problems, the emotions you show, the creative things you do, we want to watch and learn from you." That's when Jake understood. They weren't guests or friends. They were pets in a very expensive zoo. In other parts of the facility, Lisa, Ben, and Alex were having similar conversations with their own caretakers. The aliens spoke to them like pet owners talking to beloved dogs or cats. They were kind, but clearly saw humans as lesser beings who needed to be cared for. Lisa asked to see the ocean on this world. Her caretaker smiled and said, maybe later if she was good. Ben asked about the technology that powered their facility. His caretaker patted his head and said humans shouldn't worry about such complicated things. Alex asked about the alien government and was told that politics were too complex for young minds. The aliens meant well, but they saw humans as cute animals who could do amusing tricks. They had no idea they had just captured some of the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. They had captured humans who could think, plan, and adapt to any situation. Jake looked out the window again at the purple sky and silver trees. Somewhere out there were thousands of other humans in similar facilities. The aliens thought they had collected pets. They were about to learn they had collected something much more dangerous. They had collected humanity. The Zephyrian Third Fleet arrived at New Austin like a storm of metal and death. 300 warships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their weapons already charging for battle. Supreme General Vorthok stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the single human vessel floating alone in space. One ship, he clicked to his officers. They send one ship against the greatest fleet in Zephyrian history. His tactical officer studied the sensor readings. Supreme General, that vessel is generating energy readings beyond our understanding. Perhaps we should proceed with caution. Caution is for the weak, Vorthak snarled. Today we crush the humans. Once and for all, signal all ships, begin the attack. Captain Morrison watched the enemy fleet spread out across his main screen. The alien ships formed a wall of destruction that stretched from horizon to horizon. He had never seen so many warships in one place. Captain, they are moving into attack. Formation, Major Hayes reported. All 300 ships are targeting us. Energy readings are off the scale, Lieutenant Brooks added. Sir, they have enough firepower to crack a planet. Commander Phillips checked her weapons one final time. Captain, all systems are ready. Hellfire arrays are linked to the quantum fold drive. We have enough power to level star systems. Morrison stood up from his command chair. This was the moment that would decide humanity's fate. Wynn and humans would take their place among the great powers of the galaxy. Lose and Earth itself might fall to Zephyrian conquest. All stations, battle ready, he ordered. Phillips, target their flagship first. The USS Vengeance began to glow with internal energy. The quantum-fold drive channeled power from the nearby star itself, feeding stellar energy directly into the ship's weapon systems. The hull started to shimmer like a mirage as space itself bent around the vessel. Human Captain. Vorthak's voice echoed across the communication channel. Last chance to surrender. Bow before the might of the Zephyrian Empire. Never, Morrison replied. Earth does not bow to anyone. Then die with honor, Vorthak said, and gave the order to fire. 300 ships opened fire at once. The space around the USS Vengeance filled with plasma bolts, energy beams, and missile trails. The attack was so massive it lit up the entire star system like a second sun. But the human ship did not die. The USS Vengeance's shields absorbed the incoming energy and converted it into pure power. The more the Zephyrians fired, the stronger the human vessel became. The ship's experimental armor began to regenerate damage faster than the aliens could cause it. Impossible, Vorthak whispered as he watched his fleet's weapons have no effect. Morrison smiled grimly. Phillips, show them what real firepower looks like. The Hellfire arrays unleashed the fury of a captured star. Beams of pure stellar energy lanced out from the USS Vengeance, each one carrying enough power to vaporize a moon. The first salvo struck 50 Zephyrian ships simultaneously. The alien vessels did not just explode. They were completely erased from existence, their atoms scattered across space. 50 ships and their crews simply ceased to be. Continue firing, Morrison ordered. The quantum torpedoes phased through space and time itself, appearing inside enemy ships without warning. Each torpedo contained a small piece of collapsed matter that expanded on detonation, tearing the target vessels apart from within. 40 more ships died in brilliant flashes of light. The nanoswarm missiles spread out like a plague of destruction. They adapted to every defense the Zephyrians tried, finding weak points and exploiting them with deadly precision. The tiny weapons moved faster than thought, impossible to track or stop. 30 more alien ships fell to the swarm. In less than 5 minutes, the USS Vengeance had destroyed 120 enemy vessels. The remaining Zephyrian fleet began to break formation as panic spread through their ranks. Supreme General, we must retreat, his tactical officer pleaded. That ship is not natural. It fights like a force of nature itself. But Vorthak had spent his entire life believing in Zephyrian superiority. The idea that one human ship could defeat his entire fleet was beyond his understanding. All ships ramming speed, he ordered. If we cannot destroy it with weapons, we will crush it with our hulls. The remaining 180 ships charged toward the USS Vengeance like a metal avalanche. Vorthak himself led the attack in his massive flagship, determined to die with honor rather than live with defeat. Morrison watched the enemy ships racing toward him. Brooks, channel all power to the stellar tap. Phillips, prepare the ultimate weapon. Captain, if we use full power, we risk tearing a hole in space itself, Brooks warned. Do it anyway. We end this now. The USS Vengeance drew power directly from the system's star. The stellar energy flowed through quantum conduits and crystalline focusing chambers, building to levels that should have been impossible. The ship itself began to glow like a miniature sun. Firing, Phillips announced. What happened next became legend throughout the galaxy. The USS Vengeance released a controlled starburst, a beam of pure stellar fire that stretched across the entire battle space. The weapon was so powerful it briefly outshone the system's sun. Every remaining Zephyrian ship was caught in the blast. Supreme General Vorthak had just enough time to realize what was happening before his flagship vanished in a flash of nuclear fire. The entire Third Fleet was destroyed in a single moment. When the light faded, only the USS Vengeance remained. Floating in space, the human ship was alone among the debris of 300 alien warships. My God, whispered Ambassador Rodriguez. We actually did it. Morrison slumped in his command chair, exhausted. Brooks, damage report. Ship is intact, Captain. All systems operational. The stellar tap is offline for cooling, but we can restart it in 12 hours. Across the galaxy, every species with long-range sensors had watched the battle. The news spread faster than light itself. Humanity had just destroyed the most powerful fleet in Zephyrian history using a single warship. Admiral Carter stood in the Coalition Command Center, staring at the empty space where the Third Fleet had been. Get me a direct line to Earth, she ordered. The Coalition needs to negotiate a new treaty with humanity immediately. On the Draxan homeworld, War Leader Krath studied the battle recordings with professional interest. Magnificent, he growled. The humans fight like true warriors. We must test ourselves against them someday. But it was the reaction of the smaller species that mattered most. The Altarian Republic immediately offered a formal alliance with humanity. The Centauri Federation asked for protection against aggressive neighbors. Even the proud Andromedan Empire sent diplomatic messages expressing respect for human military capability. President Sullivan sat in the Oval Office, reading report after report of alien species wanting to ally with Earth. In one day, humanity had gone from a junior member of the galactic community to one of its most powerful forces. General Collins entered with the latest intelligence. Madam President, the Zephyrian Empire is in chaos. With their Third Fleet destroyed and their top generals dead, they are asking for peace talks. And Captain Morrison? The USS Vengeance is heading home, escorting the refugee ships from New Austin. He has become a hero to every human in the galaxy. Sullivan smiled for the first time in days. General, I think we need to build more ships like the USS Vengeance. Already in progress, Madam President. The galaxy has learned not to underestimate humanity. The deadliest human warship had changed everything. Humanity was no longer the newcomer begging for acceptance. They were the species other civilizations came to when they needed protection from the darkness between the stars. News of the battle at New Austin spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. On every civilized world, beings gathered around communication screens to watch recorded footage of the impossible fight. One human ship had destroyed 26 Zephyrian vessels in less than 3 minutes. Admiral Lisa Carter stood in the Coalition Command Center on Proxima Station, watching the battle recordings for the 10th time. Her hands shook as she paused the video at the moment when the USS Vengeance fired its Hellfire arrays. 12 enemy ships simply vanished from existence. This changes everything, she whispered to Lieutenant Murphy. The humans are not the junior partners we thought they were. They may be the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Admiral, incoming priority message from the Altarian Republic, Murphy reported. They want to schedule an emergency meeting with human representatives. Put them through. The blue-skinned face of Chancellor Vexali appeared on screen. His usually calm expression showed deep concern. Admiral Carter, the Altarian Republic wishes to offer our services as mediators between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire. This conflict could destroy half the galaxy if it continues. Chancellor, I appreciate your concern, but I'm not sure the humans will listen to reason right now, Carter replied. They are protecting their colonies from attack. We understand their anger. But Admiral, our long-range sensors show the Zephyrian High Command mobilizing their entire Third Fleet. 300 ships are heading toward human space. If the USS Vengeance fights them all, the destruction will be beyond imagination. The transmission ended, leaving Carter staring at the empty screen. 300 ships against one. Even the deadliest human warship could not survive those odds. On Earth, President Kate Sullivan sat in the Oval Office reading intelligence reports. The stack of papers on her desk grew higher every hour as more information came in from across the galaxy. Every alien species was choosing sides or trying to stay neutral. General Collins entered the room without knocking. Madam President, we have a situation. The Draxan Empire has sent a message. They want to test their fleet against our new technology. The Draxans? Sullivan looked up from her papers. They are almost as dangerous as the Zephyrians. More dangerous in some ways. They love war for its own sake. If they think we have superior weapons, they will want to fight us just to prove themselves. Collins placed a new report on her desk. The good news is that several smaller species are offering to ally with us. They see the USS Vengeance as protection against the larger empires. Sullivan rubbed her tired eyes. General, how many ships do we have that can match the USS Vengeance? None, Madam President. The Vengeance is unique. We have 3 more ships under construction, but they will not be ready for months. So Captain Morrison and his crew are fighting this war alone. For now, yes. Meanwhile, in the new Austin system, Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Vengeance, watching the evacuation ships leave the planet. The civilian transports moved slowly, carrying 40,000 refugees to safety behind human lines. Last. Transport is clear, Captain, reported Major Hayes. All civilians are safe. Morrison nodded, but his attention was focused on the long-range sensors. Brooks, what are you reading out there? Lieutenant Brooks checked his displays twice before answering. Captain, I am detecting a massive fleet approaching from Zephyrian space. 300 ships, including their newest dreadnoughts. They will arrive in 6 hours. Commander Phillips looked up from her weapons station. Captain, I need to tell you something about our weapon systems. I have been running calculations on the Hellfire arrays. What kind of calculations? If we link the arrays directly to the quantum fold drive, we can create a weapon powerful enough to destroy entire star systems. Phillips paused, her face serious. But Captain, such a weapon could tear holes in space itself. We might destroy everything within 50 light years. Morrison felt the weight of that knowledge settle on his shoulders. The power to destroy star systems. The power to kill billions of beings. What are you recommending, Commander? I am saying we need to be very careful about how much power we use. One mistake could make this entire region of space uninhabitable. Ambassador Rodriguez joined the conversation. Captain, perhaps we should contact Earth Command. A decision like this should come from the highest levels of government. No time, Morrison replied. The enemy fleet will be here in 6 hours. We need to make this choice ourselves. Major Hayes brought up tactical displays showing the approaching Zephyrian force. Captain, look at this fleet composition. They have brought their entire 3rd fleet, plus reinforcements from 2 other battle groups. Supreme General Vorthak himself is commanding from the flagship destroyer of worlds. Morrison studied the enemy formation. The Zephyrians were not taking any chances this time. Their ships filled space like a metal storm cloud, ready to unleash destruction on anything in their path. Sir, incoming transmission from the Zephyrian. Flagship, the communications officer reported. Put it through. The main screen filled with the image of Supreme General Vorthak. The alien leader was larger than War Commander Zakath, with scars covering his insect-like face. His 4 arms gestured as he spoke. Human Captain, I am Supreme General Vorthak, Commander of the 3rd Fleet. You have destroyed ships of the Zephyrian Empire. For this crime, your species will be exterminated. Morrison stepped forward. General, your forces attacked and murdered innocent civilians. We are defending ourselves and our people. Your people are weak. Your colonies are defenseless. Your ships are toys compared to the might of the Zephyrian Empire. Vorthak's mandibles clicked with amusement. Surrender now, and we will allow your homeworld to survive as a slave planet. Counter-offer, Morrison replied calmly. Leave human space immediately, and we will not destroy your entire fleet. Vorthak's laughter filled the bridge. 1 ship against 300. You are either very brave or very stupid. You are about to find out which one, Morrison said, and closed the channel. He turned to his crew. This is it. Everything we do in the next few hours will determine humanity's future in the galaxy. Are you ready? Weapon systems at maximum power. Phillips reported. All experimental systems are online. Shields and armor ready, Brooks confirmed. Quantum fold drive prepared for combat operations. Tactical analysis complete, Hayes added. I have identified priority targets in the enemy fleet. Morrison sat down in his command chair and stared at the approaching wall of enemy ships. In 6 hours, the USS Vengeance would face the largest space battle in galactic history. 300 alien warships against one human vessel. The odds were impossible. The stakes were the survival of humanity itself. But Morrison had faith in his ship, his crew, and the deadly technology they carried. All stations, prepare for combat, he ordered. It is time to show the galaxy what humans can do when we are pushed too far. Space around New Austin began to crackle with energy as the USS Vengeance powered up its most dangerous weapons. The deadliest human warship was about to write its name in the history books.